Hey everybody, this is Captain Kyle and I'm here with another Transformers knockoff review. This time we're going to be reviewing the Superion Combiner Wars knockoff, the unbranded from China. It's
Taikongzhans.
And we're going to look at quality, we're going to look at accuracy, and we're going to see if you had missed out on getting the Combiner Wars Superion, if this is a worthy substitute. Be right back. So for those of you who are familiar with Superion, you're aware that he is comprised of 5 Aerialbots. And I do have 5 toys here that are duplicates of the Combiner Wars era. The leader and the main part of Superion is Silverbolt. And this is what he looks like fully in the package. I'm going to go ahead and open him up. Now the interesting thing about the Aerialbots is they were created in season 3 of the cartoon and pretty much owed their existence to this guy, Alpha Trion. Of course, Alpha Trion also owes his existence to the Aerialbots, and Optimus Prime, who worked with Alpha Trion to make the Aerialbots, also owes his existence to the Aerialbots. It gets very complicated. Wibbly wobbly, timey wimey. So this is leader Silverbolt, or Cubian C-103, in his robot mode. And he has got a long gun. He is definitely compensating for something. His fear of heights, of course. What were you thinking? Now, to me, he looks very much the same as the Combiner Wars version. The Autobot symbol that is on his chest is not actually an Autobot symbol. It's some kind of weird, almost a Decepticon, almost an Autobot symbol, but doesn't break, I guess, any trademark laws. And you can definitely put a real symbol on top. Joints feel very stiff, but he seems to be pretty posable. He can put his arms out to the side, forward, rotate at the shoulder, bend at the elbow, and his arm turns on the upper arm so he can swivel out. The legs are jointed enough for him to do a full Jean-Claude Van Damme, only the tail of the plane does not allow him to actually rest. So maybe if you put a couple chairs, that could work.
That hurts me just looking at it.
He can do front kicks, he can do side kicks, roundhouse kicks. He swivels at the ankle as well, so he can point his toe in an accusing fashion at you. His head does turn from side to side. He can look up, look down. He does not turn at the waist, but compared to the original Silverbolt, he is hella poseable. The gun actually has 2 handles, one at the very end, one a little further in, so he can hold that if he wants to bring it back a notch. All right, let's check out vehicle mode. So in vehicle mode, this is what he looks like. He's clearly a jet plane, similar but not exactly the same as the original G1 version. He does have the folding front landing gear. The bottom part makes me think he's not very aerodynamic for flight, but the top really looks good. And they're alien robots, so who knows. Now to attach the weapon in vehicle mode, you cannot have the landing gear down because there are 2 holes in the bottom that plug into the gun and he can fly. And again, I don't know how aerodynamically this would be in real life. I would be pretty scared by this gun. So it is reminiscent of the universe versions of Silverbolt that didn't necessarily merge, but did allow you to attach the gun in vehicle mode. Next we have Air Raid, and just looking at the robot mode in the packaging, he definitely looks a lot like his G1 counterpart. Now one thing I will say about the packaging for these guys is they have just as many of those little plastic ties holding everything into place as actual Hasbro Transformers do. So it's just as much of a pain in the ass to get them out. Now Air Raid does come with the foot hand thing and a gun, which is reminiscent of his original gun, which is cool. The original gun though went over his hand, which did not have a hole in the fist. This one does have a hole in the fist. As far as posability, very posable with the shoulders. You can bend his elbows. Again, the plastic here, it feels a little tight, but you know, feels just like any other plastic toy. You can turn his head, which is something that you couldn't do with the original. He can almost do a full Jean-Claude Van Damme. He does bend at the knee. He can do front kicks, side kicks, possibly a little breakdancing. And he does have holes in the forearms if you want to attach his foot fist thingy with the guns as an extra weapon. He does swivel at the hips, So definitely a great homage and a great replica of the official Hasbro toy. Vehicle mode time. Vehicle mode looks fine. He is a jet, again, very reminiscent of the original Air Raid. The bottom part, again, looks very not necessarily that aerodynamic. You can attach his gun to the top or his fist foot thingy. You can kind of attach both weapons to the wings, but I don't think it looks that good. But for storage purposes, it definitely keeps the weapons with the actual bot. Next is Skydive. Again, very good robot mode. He does not have the proper size holes in the side of his arms, but you can still put the foot fist thingy in his hand. Since he's virtually identical in a lot of ways with the almost Jean-Claude Van Damme and the same type of joints, I'm not going to go through all the posability, but definitely a great homage to Skydive. So vehicle mode, he's pretty good. I am having a little bit of trouble. This just may be my idiocy, or it could be the design of the mold, or it could be the fact that it's knockoff of getting the back part of the jet exactly flush and pushed in together. And he has ports for attaching weapons on the wings as well. I mean, overall, he looks pretty good. Not very happy that I can't get this exactly in place. Cost me about $6, so it's not a bad deal. Next we have Fireflight. Now it is my understanding that for Combiner Wars, instead of calling him Fireflight, they called him Firefly. I'm sorry, that doesn't work for me. Firefly is the name of a member of G.I. Joe, not a member of the Aerialbots. Fireflight is fine. I don't know why the change, if it was some type of trademark issue, or if they didn't want to associate fires with flights. I don't know if there is a DC or Marvel character named Fireflight nowadays. I know there's a DC character called Bumblebee, but that doesn't seem to affect the Transformers all that much. So again, very nice homage to the original, very good robot mode. This guy can definitely do the full Jean-Claude Van Damme. Now I did peek at the instructions and they said nothing about turning the head before transforming. I don't know if the Combiner Wars instructions said to do that. I'm doing it because it would be freaky looking up at a plane going by and seeing a robot face on the bottom. Though the way they paint these things, you never know what they might put on there. This one snaps together into vehicle mode a lot easier than Skydive did. Everything seems flush, everything seems good. No port on the top to attach a gun. He does have the wing ports so that he can carry around his weapons that way. Again, not sure what kind of drag it would cause flying. And finally, we have a helicopter. Why do we have a helicopter? I understand that this is called Alpha Bravo. Why they didn't give us Slingshot? I know later on they gave us Quickslinger, but why a helicopter? He can't keep up with the jets. I'm not talking about the football team. He's basically a repaint of Vortex from the Combaticon line, but of course they have Blastoff in the Combaticon line, who's a jet instead of a space shuttle, though they did come up with a space shuttle, who basically is a repaint or the same mold of Slingshot, aka Quicksling or whatever. I'm just calling him Slingshot. So I don't know why it's Alpha Bravo AB. So I'm not loving the name or the choice to make a helicopter part of the Aerialbots. I'm not saying he's a bad character or a bad mold, but he should have been a totally different character. Like Whirl's cousin, Twisty. I don't know. You can move his head around, you can move his shoulders, bend him at the elbow. He can do a full Jean-Claude Van Damme, though the helicopter pieces kind of make him flop forward. He's got all the same types of posability as the others, as far as kicking and punching and all that stuff. And he becomes a fine helicopter, but it's almost like there's a story behind it where Slingshot was killed, and then they decided, yeah, we'll use this helicopter. The problem is he'll never show up on time when they're flying to a mission and they need to merge into Superion because he's a helicopter. He doesn't go as fast as a jet. He does have ports for weapons on the side here, so you can attach his gun, or on the bottom you can attach his foot fist thingy. Unfortunately, he doesn't have enough weapons to fill all the ports and make it symmetrical. But again, not bad. It's a good representation of Alpha Bravo. Again, I just wish that this set came with Slingshot because I don't really care about this guy. Only that I need him to merge into Superion. One thing I want to note on the back of all these packages is they show Alpha Bravo, they show Firefly, they show Skydive, they show Slingshot, and they show Drag Strip on the back as merging into Cheobayan, whatever his name is. But yeah, I find it funny that they put a Stunticon picture on the back.
Aerialbots, show them what you've got.
And there he is merged into Superion. Definitely a great homage to the original. The rubbery antenna on the head kind of make that bendable. But otherwise, despite the fact that he's got a helicopter for an arm, he's a very cool version of Superion, more posable and more easily posable than the original G1 and certainly the Energon ones. Just a very cool overall combiner. Again, it may be a knockoff, but overall, despite the problems that I had with Skydive, it's a great figure. Well worth the $36 I paid for it, plus like 12 bucks shipping. So for the price that you might have to pay for one or maybe 1.5 of these original figures, you can get the whole thing. I put a link in the description if you'd like to check it out and possibly get one yourself. And you might want to get some Autobot stickers to cover up the really strange symbols on him. But overall, he's a very cool toy, very cool homage to the original. I'm glad I have him. If you're interested in knowing about some other knockoffs and other Transformers that I have reviewed, you can check out these videos over here. If you haven't already, you can subscribe down there, hit that notification bell. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We'll see you next time, and as always, have fun and good hunting.